Hi, this is Corey from BikeRumor, and we're here in Leogang in the stormy weather of the Austrian Alps, in between downhill track and cross-country track, to have a look at Scott's new bike, a new cross-country mountain bike. The Spark gets a complete overhaul, and it's really become an all-new bike based on a very similar suspension platform, but scaled up to a bigger degree. 120 millimeters of travel front and rear. It's a much bigger bike than it ever was. More slack geometry, much more technical capabilities. We're here riding it on the World Cup course. Slippery, loose, very steep, and it's handled out pretty well. So let's have a first look at what's new. The bike takes a completely new layout of the suspension. You might notice there's no visible shock. Taking cues from Bold, who became a part of the Scott family a couple of years back, Scott has put the whole shock inside. So gone is the external shock. Instead, it's all hidden inside of the bike. Inside, a new extended bottom bracket seat tube cluster that now has plenty of space, a big door to access the shock down below, and small access points where you can check the suspension, see if you have the sag set up properly, and even open up that port to see how much travel you've used so far. That rear end integration isn't the only thing new on the bike. We also have a completely integrated new front end. You'll notice there's a bit more cables than we're used to, but they all kind of disappear into a new integrated bar and stem combo. So here, using kind of a new tricky internal routing system, all the cables go inside, cockpit gets cleaned up, and in the end, you come out with a much more integrated system. The bike still has visible external cables. Scott decided for adjustability rather than trying to hide everything inside. You still have a spacer stack that can be trimmed down so you can adjust your cockpit height. You still have the ability to move your brake levers, shift levers around, and you can mount a camera or a computer on top of the stem cap, or under a new set of mounts that are under the front of the stem. Besides all of the frame integration, there's also a new twin lock remote to control your front and rear suspension. Using the same technology that's kind of been there before, Scott has now worked with Synchros and combined the twin lock lever with a third lever. Maybe it's a triple lock. What you have on the top is you still have your 3 modes of lockout: one trail mode, full lockout mode, and back to descend mode. Plus, you have your dropper post controls all in one place. It looks a bit crazy. You've got 3 cables coming out of one spot, but in the end, the cockpit setup is quite simple, much easier to manage, and everything is all in one place. We've been riding with it a little bit so far, and it's been quite fun. It's a bit easier to manage, all the things in one spot, and we haven't had any problems with accidentally activating the dropper when we wanted to activate the remote lockouts. We've been riding the Scott Spark on the World Cup course here, plus some really steep technical trails. The bike is way more capable than ever. The shock being hidden has protected it from some of the brutal, muddy conditions that we've had to deal with so far, and we'll give you some ideas here of what it looks like to ride this new bike.
So is the ride as great as the new Spark's stealthy good looks? Beyond the hidden shock, it's easy to forget it has more travel than most race bikes, at least until you descend a tricky technical section and feel connected and in control. A big part is Scott's simple twin lock remote that pops from open to reduced travel climb to full lockout modes for both fork and shock at the same time. that lets you run suspension with plenty of sag yet not lose any energy even on the steepest climbs. The big surprise is the slacker trail setup with 130mm fork and more progressive rear shock feels even more confident descending with no discernible loss of efficiency on the climbs. The new Scott Spark RC race bike feels more capable than many, quote, downcountry bikes we've ridden, and the longer, slacker Scott Spark 900 series simply feels like a lightweight trail bike that's as fast as any XC race bike. Want to see all the tech specs, detailed photos of the hidden integrated shock, flip chip adjustable angle headset, plus more details about how this bike works? Then head over to BikeRumor.com, where you'll also find builds and pricing for some 25 models Scott is offering in either XC race or trail guise in both carbon and alloy frames. If you want to see more great cycling tech and reviews, hit like and hit subscribe so you won't miss a thing. Got questions about this new Scott Spark? Leave them in the comments below and we'll do our best to get you answers. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep the rubber side down.